Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Carrie.
Welcome to episode 178 of Adventures and Mousecapades. Today, we are talking with somebody that I've known for pretty much my entire life. She and I were inseparable back in preschool, kindergarten, and early elementary days before my family moved to the other coast. But no amount of miles could break our bond. We've always kept in touch, catching up during my summer visits to Seattle, and of course, through some good old-fashioned social media stalking. Over the years, we've watched each other's kids grow up, sharing milestones and swapping stories. And we are chatting today with my old friend, though we are still young at heart, about a new adventure, one that involves pom-poms, flips, Disney magic, and a whole lot of excitement. Her daughter recently competed in a cheer competition in Orlando, and the family took the opportunity to visit the parks. So let's dive into the experience and hear all about it. Welcome, Carrie.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Before we dive into the trip, can you give us a bit of your Disney history? Have you had any park visits before, any cruises or anything in the past?
Yeah, so we decided probably in the last 10 years or so, maybe we are actually Disney adults and we just didn't realize it yet. It kind of started out with a few trips to Disneyland when the kids were younger. And then, it was every couple of years or so, we would go to the parks, and then they became more and more frequent. And then I started working for a company where I traveled a lot, and I was just about to buy myself an annual pass to Disneyland because it was just a fun thing to do anytime I was down in Southern California.
Yeah.
I was just about to buy my pass in February of 2020, and I didn't buy that pass, and kind of glad in hindsight that I did not.
Yeah.
And then my daughter became a competitive cheerleader, and now we're at the parks all the time.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. That's awfully convenient for you.
Yes.
Yeah, it works out really well. Apparently every single cheer competition is at a Disney park. Who knew?
Okay, so you were there for your daughter Bella's cheer competition. Tell us a little bit about the group that she's in and what do they do?
So she is a competitive all-star cheerleader. And so it's very, very different than what you think of when you think of traditional cheerleading. They don't actually do any cheering. It's all stunting and tumbling, and it's pretty intense, pretty hardcore. But she really seems to love it.
Cool. It's like group gymnastics.
It really is. It really is. It's definitely intense.
Where was the competition held? Did you stay on property?
So it was held at ESPN World of Sports, and the girls actually stayed with their teammates at All-Star Sports this year. They always stay at one of the All-Star resorts, and then we ended up staying off property because the entire thing was a little bit pricey. And so we kind of had the best of both worlds where we were staying off property and it was a little bit quieter, a little bit calmer, not 10,000 cheerleaders running around. But then we could go and, visit their resort and kind of get the excitement of it. It was really fun.
Nice. Who from your family was there in Walt Disney World with you?
So this year it was my husband, Dave, and then my son, Carter, who is Bella's older brother. He's just about to turn 21. He has come with us in the past and other times not, but he knew this might be our last one. And so he was like, yep, I'm taking time off of work. I'm all in.
Nice.
Nice. So what kind of tickets did you get? Did you do park hopper? Did you like single day tickets? Like how many days were you down there?
So I was there from a Wednesday to a Monday,
Okay.
with the girls competing Saturday, Sunday. So this was actually the smallest, the lowest amount of park tickets I've ever bought while I was down there. So I bought a 2-day park hopper through the competition, actually.
Okay.
And then the boys ended up coming Friday and staying through the following Wednesday. So they bought a 3-day park hopper. And then as part of the competition, the girls actually all get I believe it's also a 3-day park hopper.
Cool. So you had some decent time there in the parks.
Yeah.
Did you do any planning ahead of time, like booking dining reservations or strategizing lightning lane selections?
This was the least amount of planning I think I've ever put into a Disney trip. It was very much fly by the seat of my pants.
Oh, goodness.
So we got there on a Wednesday, dropped the girls off at their hotel on a Thursday, and Thursday night I said, I think I want to go to Epcot tomorrow. So I ended up, and I knew that the boys were going to go to the parks on Saturday, and the girls weren't competing until later. So I decided we're going to go ahead. I took a risk and bought a 2-day park hopper, hoping that we would get to go to the park on Saturday, and we did. So we didn't plan anything. We just showed up and kind of went with the flow. And normally when I do a Disney vacation, like we're planning out all of our everything way in advance, which kind of makes me a little bit crazy because I am not type A. I am solidly type B, like show up and let's just see what happens. But this was an extreme for me even.
So how busy were the parks while you were there? Was this like spring break time, kind of like in April?
Yeah, it was both spring break and thousands of cheerleaders all showing up at the exact same time. So it was a little busy, but it wasn't insane. It definitely wasn't like July busy, but it also wasn't like, I don't know, February busy. February not President's Day busy.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, it was enough that we got the multi-pass, like I don't remember what it's called, multi-pass lightning lane, something like that.
Yes, lightning lane multi-pass.
There it is. I knew it was something with that combination of words. And that was my first time using this new system. But we used a few of them, but a lot of them we could just do standby. Like we always have our limits of like, okay, for this ride, I'm willing to wait this amount of time.
Yeah.
But so we really just kind of jumped in and didn't have to wait a terribly long amount of time for anything.
Yeah. What parks did you hit?
So me personally, I went to Epcot and Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
And then back to Epcot again for the late night. They keep it open for the cheerleaders one night, which is super fun.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then the boys went to Magic Kingdom. Carter came with me to the Epcot late night. And then they went to Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. So they managed to hit all four, except I think Dave didn't make it to Epcot.
Got it. So what is it like having Epcot, like the run of Epcot with thousands of other cheerleaders?
I usually avoid their late night cheerleader only events just because they usually only open up part of the parks, some of the rides, maybe one of the food stands, and it'll be open from 10 until 2 or 9 until 1 in the morning. So you'd think it would be nice and empty, but it's not. There's really long lines. When we got to Epcot, we got there maybe 20, 30 minutes after it opened to kind of avoid some of the lines. And I think the line for Guardians of the Galaxy was like 235 minutes when we came in.
Oh my gosh.
We did not wait for that one.
That's like the whole night.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. As we were leaving,
These girls are spending the whole night in that one line.
Yep, exactly. As we were leaving, Carter's like, someone who was waiting in the line when we got there would still be waiting in the line.
Oh my gosh. That is crazy.
That's insane.
What other parts of Epcot were open?
Everything was open in terms of the rides. The World Showcase was shut
Okay.
down beyond Frozen and then beyond Ratatouille. But unlike last year, it was at Hollywood Studios and they had like 5 or 6 rides open. This also had 5 or 6 rides, but that was all of the rides at Epcot.
Right. Yeah, there aren't a lot.
No, there aren't. I was surprised that it was at Epcot this year because we had never done that before. We've done every other park late night except for Epcot.
Oh, interesting.
What were your absolute must-dos for this trip?
I had one thing that was do or die, and that was it this time. And it was riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure because that was the only thing in the parks we hadn't done yet. And we got there bright and early and spent the rest of the day wet, but no regrets. It was it was totally worth it. And then also Guardians is really high on my list, so that was worth it too. Actually, that was one that we decided that at the time it was like a 60-minute wait. And I was like, I can do that. That's worth it. So that was one of the longer standby lines that I stood in, and it was totally worth it.
What do you think of the refresh to Tiana's? So obviously this used to be Splash Mountain. Now it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. What did you think of that?
I thought the animatronics, that like the retheming was really cool. Other than that, it was the same ride that I remembered being on.
Yes.
Without having zippity-doo-dah stuck in your head afterwards.
It's a lot wetter though. They have definitely amped up.
Yes.
Yes. Were all the animatronics working?
They were actually, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
It didn't look like anything wasn't working.
That's fair.
And that's one that Carter normally, he opts out of because he doesn't like spending the rest of the day wet. But even he went on it because he's like, nope, I have to go on this because it's the one thing we haven't done yet.
So did you rope drop any days? Did you close out the parks? I mean, obviously it sounds like you had one super late night there at Epcot. Did you have any early mornings, or was this kind of sleep in and just see whatever the day brings you?
Yeah, this is my first time going to the parks and not being super intense and we have to rope drop, we have to close down this park. We got up and we kind of meandered to the parks and avoided the initial rush because it wasn't like there was just the one thing that I had to do. And obviously, we want to get our money's worth. We don't want to spend all day waiting in one line.
Right.
But it was there's a sense of sanity that had been missing from most of the previous Disney trips.
Yeah.
What were the biggest standout moments from your visit?
Oh man. Honestly, it was getting to have kind of this special time with Carter in the parks because, having an all-star, very competitive cheerleader in the house means that all of my spare time has been going towards her and her practices and her competitions and everything. Mm-hmm. And so having this opportunity to spend an evening with him, we started off by chasing around the cheerleaders, trying to keep up with them. And he was like, no, Mom, I can't do this. And I was like, that's good. Let's just hang out together. That was a huge moment for me, was just having that special time with him, even in the midst of being surrounded by hordes of cheerleaders. It was kind of cool to have this kind of quiet moment where we went on Living with the Land. I don't think I've ever been on that ride before.
Oh.
But nobody wanted to go on it. So we went on it. And it was so nice. Finding those quiet moments where it's not so hustle bustle, crazy, I have to get to the next thing. And I think this was the first trip that I've ever really experienced that, where I'm not super stressed about, I have to do all the things. This was just this is for fun. This was bonus time that I wasn't necessarily sure I was going to get.
Yeah. On the opposite side of the coin, was there anything that didn't quite go as you were hoping, or some opportunities that were missed?
I was hoping to get on Tron again. I love that ride. I wasn't willing to wait that long. And that was the Saturday that we were there. That was by far the hottest day we'd had so far. I think was that the day that it rained in the morning, so it was just extra super muggy.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Right? The rest of it, like, it was pretty, like, it was almost like borderline chilly at some points. So that was the one day that I was like, no, I don't really want to wait 90 minutes to get on a ride that I've been on a couple of times now.
Yeah.
Oh, the big thing. I was a little disappointed. I did not have my Dole Whip. I like
What
I
are you
ticked all the
doing,
other
Carrie?
boxes. I know. And it was as we're leaving the park, I was like, oh, do I go back? But I did not. So Dave had one for me after I left. But yeah, that was the one thing that I was like, man, I always get my Dole Whip. I always get my Mickey pretzel and a Mickey ice cream sandwich if I can. Those are my three like non-negotiables usually.
You'll just have to go back.
I think I will, obviously.
You've done a bunch of trips where you highly plan. You've got a list of everything that you want to knock off. Now you've done one where it's kind of the exact opposite of that, and it's just, you know, as Elsa would say, you're just letting it go. What do you see in your future trips? Like, do you go back to like really planning things out and having that, you know, that long punch list of everything to do, or do you just kind of show up for the vibes?
That is such a good question. So currently we're thinking, so we've had these 2 mandated Disney trips a year, which don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about. That has been fantastic.
Right.
You know, Bella graduates in a couple of weeks, so cheer is done. So we don't in the foreseeable future, I don't necessarily know that we'll be going back there, at least not twice a year. Because from Seattle, that's a bit of a jaunt. But
Yes.
I think that when we do go, we've said we're going to wait until there's a few more new things that we haven't experienced. And then I am sure that the planner in me is going to be like, okay, first we need to rope drop and hit this, and then we need to pay for this one. And I'm sure it will come back when it's not something that I'm doing as frequently as I have been lately.
Sure. So you've been to the parks a lot with you know, bigger groups like this. Like, how long have you been, you know, how long have have you been going to these competitions rather? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, is this the last couple years? Has this been something that's going on for the last 5 or 6? Obviously we start running into the pandemic and stuff like that.
Our first cheer competition was when she used to do rec sideline cheer. So kind of traditional cheer. And that was either 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And then we came back. Our next cheer competition was 2020. We literally shut down the parks. We were there the day that Disney World closed for COVID. In fact, that was our late night at Magic Kingdom. So
oh my goodness.
It was super awkward because cast members are crying and hugging each other. And I was like, woohoo, Jungle Cruise. So it was a very strange moment. Also, that not knowing it, like nobody knew what was going on. It was really, really scary. So we've been doing it off and on, I would say, since about 2018. Since the 2020 trip, we've gone just about twice a year for cheer every year. But then we've also had personal trips on top of that. So we had an exchange student come to stay with us, and we had to take her to Disneyland, obviously.
Of course.
As you do. Yep.
So we were actually on a Disney cruise on that same day when everything shut down. We were actually transiting the Panama Canal on our way from New Orleans to San Diego. I'm interested, how did Disney handle that? Like, what was it like from you? Were you staying on property? Like, what was the communication like? How was that handled?
Yeah, so we were staying on property. We were at one of I think we're at All-Star Movies. We were at one of the All-Star resorts. And it was very, very surreal. Like, things were starting to change as we got there. But they're like, no, it's fine. The parks will be open. And then we heard Disneyland was closing. And it was the same day that we found out
Yeah.
that the schools in Washington were closing down. So it was just like dominoes started falling. I was like, but Disney
Yeah.
World, we're probably okay. And then by the end of the night, they said Disney World is closing on Monday. And I actually had, I think I had a 4-day park hopper, and I was only going to be able to use 2 or 3 based on when the parks were closing.
Right.
Yeah, so it was very, very strange. I will say though, like it was kind of this touching moment where as you're leaving through Main Street, you see the characters up above by the train station platform waving at everyone, and like it was just you could tell like they were doing everything that they could to make it like we're good. We're in the happiest place on earth. Like
Yeah.
you could tell that they were like going out of their way to keep the guests calm, make them feel happy, have the, you're in the park, enjoy it. This is where,
Yeah.
reality doesn't exist in here. But
Yeah.
it was this moment where when you see that, because a lot of the cast members were college students who the college program, like they were being sent home also. And so it was a lot going on. So you felt for
Yeah.
all of these younger cast members that are trying to make sense of this at the same time.
How was their communication? Was your trip cut? Well, so it was cut short. Did you have to rearrange flights? Like, how did Disney assist in any way and all that?
I will say, so it's kind of a blur if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I want to say we had, I think we kept our original flights. We were all terrified that they were going to shut down air travel.
Yeah.
There's a family who
Yep.
actually rented a van and was ready to drive us all back to Seattle from Orlando if need be. But
Oh, wow.
because there's so much unknown. Like there's no precedent for any
Right.
of
Nobody
this.
knew.
there was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think we ended up changing anything.
Okay.
I do remember that, because I think we were gonna go to the parks on Tuesday. I think it closed down on a Monday night. Could have been Sunday.
Right.
Maybe it was Sunday night. Again, kind of a blur. But
Yes.
we were, whatever it was, we ended up spending time hanging out at the hotel instead of going to the parks. And so
Okay.
we asked for, could we have a late checkout, which normally is the thing that they're really good at making happen. And they're like, we are so sorry, we cannot. Like that was the one thing where like you could see that like the hotels were pushed to their max because everyone, like it was a like mass hiatus, not hiatus, mass exodus. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like, it was so interesting watching the cast members all try so hard to keep normal and happy. And in reality, like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's it. Thank you for sharing. Cause, I've always wondered how that was handled in the parks and in the resorts. Like, were they, I guess my final question kind of on this train of thought, like how were they communicating changes to you? How were they communicating what the situation was and what the adjusted policy is, and you need to check out by X or Y, or you had time left on your tickets? Were they like, how did they handle, did they credit back? Was it automagic? Like how'd that all work?
So because we had bought them through the company that runs the cheer competition, we had to deal with them to get
Right.
everything refunded. And so they
Okay.
were refunding, I think, whatever your unused portion of your tickets were, they were refunding you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think to Disney's credit, I think they tried really hard to keep everything business as usual. So there wasn't like, I vaguely remember there was maybe some signs up or something saying the park will be closing at, I think it was like 10 o'clock tonight. And I don't remember exactly, but it was very like, it was low key, it was calm. Like they did a really good job of just kind of maintaining that, the happy bubble that was going on, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
keeping everything as normal as possible.
And then were they just like leaving letters in your room in terms of updates from the resort?
Yeah, I think that was probably how a lot of the communication was coming through the the competition itself. I think they were
Okay, that makes
channeling
sense.
everything through them. I do remember, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but at the time, we all were stuffing our suitcases full of rolls of toilet paper from the hotel, because you're hearing all these stories about not being able to get toilet paper at home. And so, yeah, there were people who were literally just like, I've got 5 more rolls in here. Can anyone fit it in their suitcase? So it's a whole thing.
That's not very good toilet paper either.
No, it's horrible toilet paper.
It really isn't.
I actually kind of think I remember us debating whether we should take some toilet paper rolls off the ship with us.
Yes.
And I think we did, because we weren't sure whether we'd actually be able to get on our flight or not. And if we'd need to like just drive up or something. So, because we were coming into San Diego and we ended up being able to fly home and all the rest of that good stuff. But I vaguely remember debating swiping some really horrible toilet paper off the Disney Wonder.
Do what you got to do, right?
Exactly. We all have to survive here.
Exactly.
Thank you for that little sidetrack. That was really interesting, actually, to hear about Disney World closing down during the Panini.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in Disneyland a few days later, like after like the end of that week after they closed, that
did not work.
That didn't happen.
Nope.
Sigh.
I know.
Back to this most recent trip. Were there any helpful tips that you picked up, or things that made your trip a little smoother, or anything you wish you'd known beforehand?
I definitely feel like for us, you talk about traveling in large groups with these cheer competitions. It is so hard to coordinate things with, especially when you're dealing with large groups of teenage girls. So what made it smoother for me was going with another mom who is also very seasoned at Disney trips and knew her way around the parks also. And so it was just the two of us went to Epcot together. And it was just, it was beautiful. And we just kind of did what we wanted to do. We challenged ourselves, both of us having been there many, many times, to do as many things that we've never done before as possible.
Nice.
And that's what started our first trip to Living with the Land. I had never been on Spaceship Earth before, like all these little things that we just passed by to go for the bigger rides. It was kind of nice to slow down and just do some things we had never done before. It was nice to kind of take our time and do some new things. And when we went back with all of the girls, I didn't feel bad. And I was like, nope, you guys go ahead and go on that. I don't feel like I need to, because I'm just going to it was their world and we were just living in it, and we just followed around.
Love that. So obviously, you've been through the unexpected. We just talked about that with COVID. Was there anything unexpected about this trip? Hopefully it was a little less earth-breaking and earth-shattering.
I don't think there was anything really unexpected. I had, we got off of Tiana and got off Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and I was starving because we went straight there first thing in the morning, and we went to go roll up to get, I was like, it sounds perfect, a Mickey pretzel. So we get to the cart and we order 3 pretzels. He's like, I'm sorry, we only have 2. I was like, that's okay, we'll go with 2. So we paid for the 2. We got there. He goes, I'm sorry, we only have 1.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a little disappointing, but I feel like I had my fill of my Mickey pretzel. Carter and I shared, and it was totally fine. One thing that actually, speaking of that did surprise me that I wasn't expecting was our last trip. It was to Disneyland, and the Tiana ride hadn't opened yet, but I don't remember what the name of the eatery is, but the little quick service restaurant there, Tiana's
Place or Palace?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We had some really good food there. So as we're getting off the ride, I was like, oh my gosh, let's go get some beignets. Let's go get some gumbo. That sounds so good. And it wasn't there. It was, I think, just Bill. And I was like, this is not what I want. So then we diverted to get our Mickey pretzel. I'm sure I saw someone walking around with beignets, so I know that they were there, but I could not for the life of me think of where they were. So Mickey pretzel it was.
Disney has a way of creating unforgettable experiences. Was there a moment that felt truly magical during this trip?
Oh man. Honestly, for me, every single time it's just walking into Magic Kingdom. I went into this trip thinking, I don't have to go to Magic Kingdom. It's so much like Disneyland. We go there often. And I almost had myself talked out of it. And that's where the boys decided that they wanted to go on Saturday morning. And so we walked in and it was like, yep, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. I can't believe I actually considered not going to Magic Kingdom. So it was that moment where you just kind of walk in, you feel the butterflies, and you're like, this is where I should be.
Yeah. So we just did Disneyland a month or so ago with about 50 kiddos from a musical theater group that our son is in. And so we're kind of familiar with how do you wrangle all these people. You were mentioning like some people know what they're doing in Disneyland, some people it's their first time there. Like it's a whole thing, and I will agree with you that from Alicea and I's perspective, it was nice at times to just like, we're just gonna disappear and do our own little thing and just be there for the vibes and not worried like everybody else was about getting on every single ride possible and stuff like that. But we also wanted to be there for the competition and or well, at least for Sterling, the performance that they had and some workshops that the group was doing. How do you balance the competition time and like that event with the time of just having fun in the park? Like, what are the challenges? You've done this a bunch. Like, what's that strategy like?
Yeah. So normally the teams compete Saturday and Sunday. So those are comp days. I switch out of Disney mode, and sometimes I even forget I'm in Orlando. I mean, minus the heat. Like, you'll never
you can never forget. Yeah.
But it's like it's two different worlds. There's Disney mode and then comp mode. This year was a little bit different because they competed so late on Saturday. I think so she competes with two different teams. And the first team went at 6:45 at night on Saturday. And that's when I was like, okay, I can go to the park on a comp day. Normally I have very mixed feelings about that because like it is the competition is chaotic and it can be hard to get seats and I want to get there early. I want to be prepared and not have anything else like distracting me. It's serious business.
Right.
But this year was interesting having both of those things coexist in one day. But there was definitely we went to the parks and we kind of took it easy, even at Magic Kingdom. I want to say we were home by 3-ish, and then we had a little bit of downtime to shift. Like, there's a full wardrobe change and everything that happens when you go to like the parks. You wear one thing. When you go to a competition, you wear something else, and there's not a whole lot of overlap there. But so I had a little bit of time to kind of switch modes. Last year, she actually, because she was on an international team and a non-international team, she actually competed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I think Sunday as well. So it was 4 full days when I was like, I want to get to the parks. I want to get to the parks. And those ones were middle of the day. Like, there was no real way to be able to do both. So it's weird for me being in Orlando and being like, but I know the park is down the street and I know it's calling my name, but I'm here and this is my role right now.
Yeah. We were lucky in that we were able to split our first day the same way. Like, Sterling's first call time wasn't until like 2:00 in the afternoon on the Friday of the competition. We were there for a competition and then Disney performance and some workshops like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but the competition was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so like that Friday we were like, well, we'll just go have breakfast in Disneyland and hit a couple parks and then bounce at noon. So we have, time to relax and enjoy the parks, but also reset and get back into competition mode and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely something to think about how you do, and it's probably even more difficult to do that in Florida because everything's so
far
spread
apart.
out. And transportation time is definitely a thing to factor in.
It definitely is. Well, and another thing that makes balancing park time and competition even more complicated is, so with the registration to this competition, the girls get this 3-day park hopper. It's non-negotiable. Everyone gets it. You can't opt out of it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, a lot of gyms don't allow the girls to go to the parks before they compete because there's blisters, there's soreness, there's fatigue, there's sunburn.
Yeah.
Like the exhaustion is real after you spend a full day at the park.
Yeah.
So the big bummer of it this year was, so my daughter, it's her senior year, and this competition always happens right at the beginning of AP testing. And so she competed on Sunday. She had an AP test on Monday. Or on Tuesday. We had to fly home on Monday. And so she actually didn't get to use her 3-day park hopper, which was like a knife to the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bummer this year. But she did get to go to the late night at Epcot.
Yeah.
So at least we had that.
Cool.
Anything else to add? Did we forget anything?
No, I guess it sounds like I need to reach out to you for some Disney cruise suggestions, because that is high on our bucket list. It is something that we've talked about doing for years.
We have thoughts.
Yes.
I believe it.
Well, now it's time for Alicia's patented Disney torture test. But you've known Alicia for a long time. She's just a pushover. But seriously, good luck.
Pushover. Whoa.
Oh, now I'm nervous.
I see. Oh, this is easy. It's just your Disney favorites from the whole umbrella under Mickey. So like Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, all that stuff.
Okay.
Who is your favorite character?
Oh, I would have to say my favorite character is Minnie Mouse, because she inspires all of my outfits when I go to the park, because you have to pick the perfect Minnie ears to go with whatever outfit you're wearing that day.
Yep,
It's just mandatory. Like,
Yeah, it's so she's my, my wardrobe. She's my inspiration.
There you go.
I love that.
Your favorite Disney movie?
So it's hard, because I feel like my favorite Disney movie is always tied to like great memories of my kids having their favorite movies. So we went through all of the phases when Bella was younger, but I will say probably my all-time favorite that I can watch again and again and again is Toy Story.
Nice. Favorite ride?
So currently, my favorite ride is the Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot. But I love anything that is fast-paced and exciting and makes me feel a little bit woozy afterwards. So that one kind of takes the cake.
What's the best song to get on that one?
So this time we had conga, and I really did enjoy that, because you're really like dancing the entire time.
Yep.
But I will say that Carter and Dave went on a trip by themselves, and they came home, and I was like, oh, did you get, was it 21st of September?
September.
Yeah, September.
September. And he was like, how did you know? I was like, it was literally the 21st of September. Where they were playing that song all day.
Yes. That's the only thing they play on that day.
Correct.
Disney World or Disneyland?
Honestly, I enjoy Disneyland because of how manageable it is. But when we're going to Disney World, I know it's going to be a whole experience. That's something you slow down and you take your time and you enjoy every single part. But it's also a little exhausting sometimes. So not to say that Disneyland isn't, but Disneyland on a regular basis, Disney World on special occasions.
Yeah.
All right.
There's something about being inside the Disney bubble where you don't, like, I would say Disneyland, to what you were trying to say, is it's more practical. Like, you can just get everywhere a lot quicker. If you want to hop parks, it's a 90-second walk across the Esplanade. But in Disney World, like, the outside world no longer exists, and it's fantastic.
It really doesn't. And also, like, just in terms of like proximity, it's a relatively short flight for us to get to Anaheim.
Yeah.
Orlando, not so much. That's a tough flight.
Out of all the individual parks that you have been to, what is your favorite?
It's got to be Disneyland. Like just the original.
The OG.
I feel like it has all of the iconic rides, the iconic locations. Like that's just everything else is lovely, but there's something like Disneyland. There's nothing like Disneyland. Maybe that's what I meant to say.
Do you have a favorite hotel or resort that you've stayed at?
I really enjoyed, was it Port Orleans? Was that the last place we stayed at? I had never stayed there before. Is that the right one, Port Orleans?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. I enjoyed being able to like hop on the boat to Disney Springs. That was not an experience I had before either. We always drive and circle looking for parking. It's a little bit stressful, but just to hop on a boat and just kind of, saunter off. It was great. And I love the theming. It felt like I could just like go out and explore. And I really enjoy all of the Disney properties that I have stayed at. But that one I just really, I appreciated just being able to wander. I will say though, we talk about like bucket list being, going on a Disney cruise, staying at the Grand Californian. We walk through there all the time and we just look around and go, oh, maybe someday. So that is a bucket list item for sure.
It's worth it. We finally were able to stay at the Grand Cal when we were down there in Anaheim in April, and it was
a gorgeous hotel.
It was just amazing.
Yeah.
It is. Like I just sat in the lobby to like cool off and charge my phone, and I was like, yeah, if I just stay here, they can't kick me out, right? Oh wait, maybe they can.
Favorite Disney restaurant?
It's hard to narrow it down to one specific restaurant, but when the kids were little, like the character breakfast was like, that was my absolute favorite thing. But we've done several of them, and I think they were all just kind of special for different reasons. But yeah, like I kind of miss those days. Teenagers don't. I find that they don't really want to go to the character breakfast anymore. They love them some Mickey waffles. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the pictures, that's a little bit harder to come by now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our daughter explained to us that she doesn't like character breakfasts or character dining at all because she's like, leave me alone. I'm trying to eat.
We go anyway.
Yeah, we go anyway. Tough. If you don't like it, go buy your own meal.
Yes.
Amen. Right?
You can give Minnie a hug for us.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. It's not about you anymore.
Last one. Favorite Disney snack?
Oh, hands down, Mickey pretzels. I eat those every single day for the rest of my life, and they will never stop being magical.
All right, so last question here. What's next? Any other Disney trips planned?
We don't have anything planned, but we do definitely want to go on a cruise. And like I said, I kind of want to, I'm looking forward to being able to take a little bit of a break from the forced trips. Don't get me wrong, I still love them. But when I can plan something and have a little bit more to get like super excited about. So I'm thinking definitely cruises for a little bit, and then we'll come back to the parks again.
There you go.
Love it. You're going to love the cruises. Yes. It is that whole Disney bubble experience with like 20% of the stress. It's great.
Yes.
That sounds magical. I'm all in.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a great pleasure to hear all of your stories, hear about all the cheerleaders, and hear about how Disney handled the pandemic. That at least from your perspective, you're I think one of the only other people that was at Disney like we were when that all went down. So it was really neat to hear.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Carrie. That was so much fun to catch up with her and learn about her trip and find out about her being in Disney during 2020. Whoa,
yeah,
that was cool.
That was amazing. That was so cool to hear. I mean, it was a horrible situation.
Yes.
But it was really neat to see the other perspective.
Yeah, true.
Well, remember, we are not affiliated with Disney or their subsidiaries. These are personal opinions and suggestions based on our own experiences. We recommend working with a travel agent or contacting Disney directly to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have any questions or suggestions, or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your own Disney experience, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
Please go ahead and give us a follow on socials. We're at Our Mousecapades. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube.
Please give us a rating and review in your podcast app. It does help people find us.
And of course, don't hesitate to share us with your friends and fellow Disney lovers of all ages.
Thank you for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.